Hi everyone, I'm Chris Norville. I'm a solutions architect with a red hat, and in this video series, we're going to be looking at Turbonomic and Ansible Automation Platform in action. This is video 2 in a 4-part video series. In video 1, we set up the event-driven Ansible controller, we looked at our rule book, and we activated our rule book. In this video, we're going to be looking at setting up the Ansible Automation Controller that's actually going to go out and do the automation recommended by Turbonomic. So, if you'll remember, we're going to take a quick look at our uh, rule book. Now, in our rule book, when Turbonomic offers a suggestion or recommendation, it's going to send us over to the event-driven Ansible controller. Event-driven Ansible controller is going to match this against certain criteria. As we discussed in video 1, it's going to be looking at, is it a scaling action? Is it a virtual machine? Is it a cloud? And is it in AWS? If it passes all this criteria, then it will continue to run the job template Turbonomic EDA scaling. Now that is going to be on the Ansible Automation Controller. So we're going to be setting that up. So let's go take a look at the playbook, and then we'll load that playbook in the Ansible Automation Controller. And then at that point in time, when a scaling action comes into the event-driven Ansible and it matches this criteria, it will kick off the automation on the Ansible Automation Controller. So let's go take a quick look. So this is the playbook we're going to be running in this instance of our Turbonomic recommendation. Your mileage may vary. This playbook I've just written to showcase the integration with EDA, Turbonomic, and Ansible. So this is where in your organization you may want to open up a ServiceNow ticket. You may want to trigger all kinds of things. This is where kind of Ansible can be tailor made to your the needs of your organization. But if we can look here now, remember in our event driven Ansible, we passed in arguments. So let's go ahead and look at those arguments right quick. So right here, oh, that's not the right one. Um, so right here, we're extracting from our JSON the stuff that came in from Turbonomic. We're extracting our instance type, our instance ID, and our EC2 region. Now, if we go back to our playbook that we want to run, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to display out those variables just to make sure that we have them. Okay, so we're going to say, assuming when this playbook is run that it's going to ingest these variables, assuming they are there, and we're just going to print them out just for our own edification here. So we're going to print out the instance type, we're going to print out the instance ID, and we're going to print out the EC2 region, which is what we need to work with in our automation. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to take that instance ID and we're going to go interrogate up in AWS. We're going to say, okay, AWS, I need some information on this EC2 instance, and I'm going to pass it the instance ID, and it's going to be up in the region that was also passed to us from the extra variable. It's going to dump out the information on the EC2 instance returned from AWS, and then it's going to just dump out the value. It's going to say the current value of our target, which is the instance in question that we want to scale, is, and it's going to fill in those variables for you. So in this point in time, this is where you would want to uh, insert your own business logic. Now, just as a use case, you may want to open up a ServiceNow ticket, populate it with all the relevant information, and be done. Okay, so and then let kind of hand it off to ServiceNow. You would create automation in your ServiceNow environment to actually go out and get approvals, maybe go out and schedule the scaling action, maybe back up, maybe turn off databases, maybe take it out of load balancer pools. Again, this is where the needs of your organization would be inserted right here. But in this instance, what I'm thinking right here is you would open up a ServiceNow ticket, populate all the relevant information, and you could have ServiceNow hold it. Go ahead and take it from here, if you will. But just in the just for the showcasing of the demo, we're going to go ahead and actually do the scaling action. So what we're going to say is we're going to say, okay, the instance type of the recommended instance does not match the current instance. That means we can scale. Okay. If the current instance matched the recommended instance, then there would be nothing to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to enter a block here. We're going to shut down the EC2 instance in question. We're going to resize the instance. So you have to shut it down before you can resize. So we're going to go ahead and resize the instance, and we're going to start it back up, and we're going to report back to Ansible that we're all done. Okay. So again, your mileage may vary in the automation, but this playbook is simply to show you, a typical or a playbook that you would use in this scaling action. So let's go ahead and load this playbook up in the Ansible Automation Controller and get it ready to kick off. So here we are in my Ansible Automation Controller. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a project. And we're going to call this project, let's just call it Event-Driven Ansible. And we're going to name of Event-Driven Ansible Playbooks. Now remember that a project is just a collection of playbooks that serve a similar purpose. We're going to say that we're going to use the default execution environment. We'll override that in the template. And our source control is going to be Git. And we're going to use the same GitHub that we used for our rulebook. So let's go ahead and let's copy that in there. And let's see. Let's go ahead and take that out. And we're going to save that and let that sync up. So we're going to let that sync up. And we had a successful sync. All right. So now we can go ahead and create our template. So what we're going to do is we're going to create us a template. And we're going to call it Turbonomic EDA Scaling. And we're going to say Nomic and it is a job type. We're going to use our demo inventory. And then we're going to use our EDA project that we just added. And we're going to give it an execution environment of Turbonomic EDA. And this has all the collections baked in that we need to talk to AWS and the ServiceNow. And we're going to choose our Turbonomic EDA webhook playbook. And we're also going to add some credentials in here. We're going to add our AWS credentials in here. Now, these are the credentials you would need. It's your client key and your secret key to get up into AWS to actually perform these actions. We assume that you've already set that up. If you're using the RHPDS system, that would be available in your services screen in RHPDS. So anyway, this is basically your username and password to get up into AWS to do these actions. So anyway, that's all we have right here. And also, since we're ingesting extra variables, we need to select prompt on launch. So what that's going to do is when the playbook activates, it's going to ingest those extra variables supplied by our event-driven Ansible controller. And let's see, we don't need any privilege escalation. We don't need callbacks. So anyway, we can go ahead and save this. So now we have set up our Ansible Automation Controller. This job is ready to go right now. If I were to click launch right now and all the instances were up in AWS, this would actually go ahead and perform the action. However, it doesn't know to do it yet. So we're going to wait on an event from Turbonomic to trigger event-driven Ansible, which in turn would trigger this this playbook. So with that, we have set up our event-driven Ansible controller right here, and it's running. It's waiting for information or events to come in from Turbonomic. We've also set up our Ansible Automation Platform. So now we're ready to go. This template is ready to go. In the next video, we're going to be doing all the work on Turbonomic. We're going to be configuring Turbonomic. We're going to be setting our scaling policies. We're going to be adding a target and a target group. And we're actually going to get ready for Turbonomic to provide recommendations, for scaling, which will trigger the event-driven Ansible controller, which in turn will trigger our automation on our Ansible automation platform. So please join me in the next video. Thanks, and see you next time.